My beloved child, I know the season you have been walking through has been difficult. But I want you to hear me today. The pain you experienced is not the end of your story. A new season is beginning, and I want you to be ready for what is coming next. My beloved child, I know you have been through a season that you never expected. There were moments when you wondered how much longer you could keep going. You smiled when you wanted to cry. You stayed strong when you secretly felt exhausted. You encouraged other people while quietly wishing someone would encourage you. And perhaps there were nights when you looked toward the future and wondered if anything would ever truly change. My child, I saw every one of those moments. I saw the days when you felt like giving up. I saw the moments when you questioned yourself. I saw the times when you wondered why everything seemed to become difficult at the same time. And I want you to know something today. I was with you through all of it. You may not have felt my presence. You may not have understood what I was doing. You may have looked at your circumstances and thought that you were walking through them alone. But you were never alone. When your strength was almost gone, I was strengthening you. When you thought you could not take another step, I was giving you enough strength for the next one. When you thought the darkness would never end, I was already preparing the light that would eventually appear. My beloved child, there is something I want you to understand about difficult seasons. Not every season is meant to last forever. There are seasons of waiting. There are seasons of learning. There are seasons of healing. There are seasons when you must let go. And there are seasons when I begin something completely new. You have been so focused on what you lost that you have not noticed what I have been preparing. You have been looking at the door that closed. I have been preparing another door. You have been thinking about the person who left. I have been preparing new relationships that will bring encouragement into your life. You have been remembering the opportunity that disappeared. I have been teaching you lessons that will prepare you for an opportunity you cannot see yet. You have been asking why the old season had to end. But I want you to begin asking what the new season is preparing to bring. My child, sometimes I allow a chapter to close because I know that staying in that chapter would prevent you from entering the next one. You wanted this situation to remain the same because it was familiar. But I knew that familiar was not always healthy. You wanted certain people to stay because you were afraid of being alone. But I knew that some relationships were preventing you from becoming the person I created you to be. You wanted certain doors to remain open because you were afraid that another opportunity would never come. But I knew that the door you were holding on to was not the door I wanted you to walk through. My beloved child, I know that change can be frightening. Even when you know that something needs to change, the process can still hurt. You may miss what used to be. You may remember the good moments. You may wonder if you made the wrong decision. You may even be tempted to return to a place that I have already called you to leave. But listen carefully. Do not go backwards simply because the future feels unfamiliar. The past may be familiar, but familiar does not always mean better. Sometimes you return to old situations because you are afraid of new beginnings. Sometimes you hold on to old memories because you are afraid to create new ones. Sometimes you keep looking behind you because you do not yet trust what is ahead. My child, I want you to lift your eyes. There is still a future ahead of you. There are still things I want to show you. There are still experiences you have not had. There are still people you have not met. There are still opportunities you have not discovered. There are still prayers that will be answered in ways you never expected. Your story is not ending where your pain began. Your story is continuing. My beloved child, I know there were times when you thought the difficult season would never end. You looked at one problem after another and wondered when you would finally be able to breathe. You thought, as soon as this problem is over, everything will become better. Then another problem appeared. And then another. Eventually, you became tired of hoping. You stopped expecting good news because disappointment had become too familiar. You started protecting your heart by expecting the worst. You thought that if you expected nothing, you could never be disappointed. But I do not want you to live that way. I do not want you to build your future around fear. I want you to build your future around faith. You have experienced disappointment, but disappointment is not your destiny. You have experienced rejection, but rejection does not define your value. You have experienced loss, but loss does not mean your life has lost its purpose. You have experienced failure, but failure does not mean you are a failure. You have walked through a difficult season, but that does not mean your entire life will be difficult. A difficult chapter is not the same thing as a difficult story. Remember that. The chapter you are living today is only one part of a much larger story. My beloved child, there are things you cannot see because you are standing too close to the situation. When you are in the middle of a storm, all you can see are the clouds. But I see beyond the storm. You see the difficulty. I see the destination. You see the delay. I see the preparation. You see the ending. I see the beginning that is coming next. You may feel as though your life has been standing still, but I want you to know that I have been preparing you in the quiet places. The lessons you learned were not wasted. The patience you developed was not wasted. The tears you cried were not wasted. The strength you gained was not wasted. The wisdom you received was not wasted. Everything you have experienced can become part of the person you are becoming. My child, you wanted me to change your circumstances immediately. But sometimes I begin by changing you. I teach you how to remain peaceful when circumstances are uncertain. I teach you how to walk away from what is no longer healthy. I teach you how to recognize what is truly valuable. I teach you how to stop chasing what was never meant for you. I teach you how to wait without losing hope. And I teach you how to trust me when you cannot see what comes next. These lessons may not have felt like blessings when you were learning them. But one day, you will realize how valuable they were. One day, you may look back at the season that caused you the most pain and realize that it also created some of the greatest strength within you. My beloved child, do not hate the season that taught you how to trust me. Do not hate the waiting that taught you patience. Do not hate the closed door that protected you from the wrong path. Do not hate the ending that made room for a new beginning. You may not understand everything today, and that is okay. You do not need to understand everything to move forward. Sometimes faith means saying, Jesus, I do not understand why this happened, but I trust you enough to keep walking. That is where your next chapter begins. Not when you understand everything. Not when every question is answered. Not when every problem disappears. Your next chapter begins when you decide that your past will no longer control your future. My beloved child, I want you to stop carrying the identity that your difficult season gave you. You are not the person who was rejected. You are not the person who failed. You are not the person who was forgotten. You are not the person who was left behind. You are not defined by what happened to you. You are defined by the love I have for you and the purpose I have placed within your life. Your past may explain some of your wounds, but your past does not have permission to decide your future. The season that hurt you taught you something. Now let the season ahead show you something new. Let it show you that joy can return. Let it show you that peace can return. Let it show you that hope can return. Let it show you that life can begin again. My beloved child, I am not asking you to forget everything that happened. I am asking you to stop allowing what happened to control everything that comes next. You can remember without remaining trapped. You can learn without remaining afraid. You can forgive without pretending the pain never existed. You can move forward without denying your past. And you can begin again. Yes, my child. You can begin again. No matter how many times you have fallen. No matter how many opportunities you have lost. No matter how many times you thought you had reached the end. If you are still here, your story is still being written. And I want you to know that the same God who carried you through your darkest season can also lead you into your brightest one. But before you step into that new season, there is something you must release. Something you have been carrying from your past into every new opportunity. Something that has been quietly holding you back even when you thought you were moving forward. My beloved child, the thing I want you to release is the belief that your past will always be your future. You have been through difficult things, and somewhere along the way, you began to believe that because something happened once, it must happen again. Because someone left you, you became afraid that everyone would leave. Because one opportunity failed, you became afraid to try again. Because you were rejected once, you began to believe you would never be accepted. Because you trusted someone and were disappointed, you started believing that trusting anyone was dangerous. Because one season brought you pain, you began expecting pain from every new season. My child, I understand why you feel this way. Pain can teach the heart to become defensive. Disappointment can teach the mind to expect the worst. But I do not want your future to be controlled by the wounds of your past. Your past is a chapter. It is not your entire story. You have been carrying memories that were meant to teach you, but you have allowed them to become chains that hold you back. Today, I want you to begin releasing them. Not because they did not matter. Not because the pain was not real. Not because what happened was acceptable. But because you deserve to move forward. My beloved child, there is a difference between remembering what happened and living inside what happened. You can remember the lesson without remaining trapped in the pain. You can acknowledge what happened without allowing it to define who you are. You can look back and say, yes, that happened to me. But it will not control me forever. That is the beginning of freedom. My child, I know there are memories that still hurt. There are moments you wish you could change. Words you wish you had never heard. Decisions you wish you had made differently. People you wish had stayed. Opportunities you wish had worked out. There are things you wish you could go back and do again. But you cannot go backward. And my beloved child, you do not need to. Your future is not waiting behind you. Your future is in front of you. Stop trying to find your next chapter by constantly rereading the previous one. There is nothing wrong with remembering your journey. But there is something wrong with allowing yesterday to steal today. I want you to live again. I want you to hope again. I want you to dream again. I want you to believe that something good can still happen in your life. You have spent enough time asking, what if it happens again? Now I want you to start asking, what if this time is different? What if the next opportunity is better? What if the next season brings peace? What if the next relationship is healthier? What if the next door leads you somewhere beautiful? What if the thing you thought was the end was actually the beginning of something new? My beloved child, you do not know what I am preparing. So do not allow fear to make decisions about a future you have not yet seen. Fear will always tell you to stay where you are. Fear will tell you that it is safer not to try. Fear will remind you of every past failure. Fear will show you every reason something could go wrong. But faith asks a different question. Faith says, "What if Jesus is leading me somewhere better?" My child, I want you to choose faith. Not because everything will always be easy. Not because nothing difficult will ever happen again. But because you now know that when difficult seasons come, you do not have to face them alone. You have already survived difficult days. You have already walked through things you once thought you could never survive. And I was with you then. I will be with you in the future too. My beloved child, I want you to understand something about the new season I am preparing. It may not look exactly like the life you imagined. You may have created a picture in your mind of how your future should be. Perhaps you imagined a specific person, a specific place, a specific career, a specific opportunity, a specific timeline. And when things did not happen according to your plan, you became disappointed. But my child, what if the life I am preparing for you is better than the life you were trying so hard to create for yourself? What if some of your disappointments were actually redirections? What if some of your unanswered prayers were protection? What if some of the things you thought you needed would have taken you away from the purpose I have for you? You do not know what I know. You see one possibility. I see thousands. You see one path. I see every path. You see the door you wanted. I see where every door leads. Trust me enough to let me choose the right one. My beloved child. Sometimes the greatest act of faith is not holding on. Sometimes it is letting go. You may have been holding on to an old dream because you are afraid to admit that it may no longer be right for you. You may be holding on to a relationship because you are afraid of loneliness. You may be holding on to an old identity because you do not know who you will become without it. You may be holding on to anger because it feels like the only way to protect yourself from being hurt again. But my child, holding on to the wrong things can prevent you from receiving the right things. There are moments when I ask you to release something, not because I want to take from you, but because I want to make room for what comes next. Release the need to control every outcome. Release the need to understand every detail. Release the need to make everyone understand your side. Release the desire to return to what I have already asked you to leave. Release the fear that nothing better will come. And most importantly, release the belief that you have to figure out your entire future today. You only need to take the next step. My beloved child, I know you want to see the whole road. But sometimes I only show you the next few steps. Why? Because if you could see everything at once, you might become overwhelmed. You might try to control the journey. You might focus so much on the destination that you forget to trust me along the way. So I give you enough light for today, enough strength for today, enough wisdom for today, enough grace for today. Tomorrow will have its own grace. When tomorrow comes, I will meet you there too. My child, do not be afraid of the unknown. The unknown is unknown to you. It is not unknown to me. You may not know what tomorrow holds, but I do. You may not know who you will become, but I do. You may not know where the next opportunity will come from, but I do. You may not know how your story will unfold, but I do. And the one who knows your future is walking with you today. So take the next step. Then another. Then another. You do not have to run. You do not have to rush. You simply have to keep moving forward. My beloved child, I want you to stop waiting for everything to become perfect before you allow yourself to be happy. There will always be something that needs improvement. There will always be something you are waiting for. There will always be another goal, another challenge, another unanswered question. If you wait for everything to be perfect before you experience peace, you may spend your entire life waiting. Find joy in the small things. Be grateful for the breath in your lungs. Be grateful for the people who genuinely care about you. Be grateful for the lessons you have learned. Be grateful for the strength you have gained. Be grateful that you are still here. Your life is happening today. Do not sacrifice today while constantly worrying about tomorrow. My beloved child, I am teaching you to live with expectation without living with anxiety. There is a difference. Expectation says, something good may be ahead. Anxiety says, something terrible must be ahead. Choose expectation. Choose hope. Choose faith. You have spent enough time preparing for disappointment. Now prepare your heart for possibility. Prepare your heart for new beginnings. Prepare your heart for unexpected blessings. Prepare your heart for opportunities you never imagined. Because when the new season arrives, I do not want you to miss it because you are still staring at the door that closed behind you. Turn around. Look forward. The future is calling you, and I am leading you toward it. My child, I know you are afraid that the best days of your life are already behind you. But I want you to hear this. Your best days are not necessarily behind you. There are still chapters waiting to be written. There are still dreams waiting to be discovered. There are still lessons waiting to be learned. There are still moments of joy you have never experienced. There are still people who will enter your life and remind you that love and kindness are still real. There are still places you have never seen. There are still opportunities you have never imagined. There is still so much life ahead of you. Do not let one painful season convince you that the entire future will be painful. My beloved child, the season that hurt you taught you how to survive. But the season ahead can teach you how to live again. And I want you to be ready. Because the new season will require something from you. It will require you to trust again. It will require you to open your heart again. It will require you to believe again. And I know that is frightening. But you do not have to do it all at once. Take one small step. Trust me today. Tomorrow, trust me again. And slowly you will discover that the walls you built to protect yourself are no longer necessary. My beloved child, the season ahead will not erase everything that happened before. But it can give you a new perspective on it. One day you may look back and say, I thought that season was breaking me, but Jesus was preparing me. You may say, I thought I was being left behind, but Jesus was redirecting me. You may say, I thought the door closing was the end, but it became the beginning of something new. And perhaps you will finally understand why I kept asking you to trust me. My child, the past has taught you. Now let the future inspire you. The old season has served its purpose. The new season is waiting. But before you step fully into it, there is one more thing you must learn. Because a new season can arrive, and yet you can still miss its beauty if your heart remains focused on everything that went wrong before. How to recognize the new season when it finally begins, and how to walk into it without fear. My beloved child, sometimes you are waiting for a dramatic sign that everything has changed. You are expecting something extraordinary. You are waiting for a moment when everything suddenly becomes clear. But I want you to understand that new seasons do not always begin with something loud. Sometimes they begin quietly. A new thought, a new opportunity, a new person, a new desire, a new direction, a new peace in your heart. Sometimes the greatest changes in your life begin with something so small that you almost overlook it. You may wake up one morning and realize that something that once caused you great pain no longer controls your emotions. You may notice that you are no longer desperate for someone's approval. You may discover that you can finally think about your future without being afraid. You may find yourself smiling again without forcing it. You may begin to feel peace where there was once anxiety. My child, these may be signs that you are healing. Do not underestimate small beginnings. Do not think that something has to be dramatic to be important. A new season can begin with a single decision. The decision to forgive. The decision to let go. The decision to try again. The decision to trust. The decision to stop looking backward. The decision to believe that your life can still become something beautiful. My beloved child, perhaps you have been waiting for me to change everything around you. But I may begin by changing what is happening inside you. You may still be in the same place, but you are no longer the same person. The circumstances may not have completely changed, but your perspective has. The storm may still be around you, but you have discovered a peace that was not there before. The problem may still exist, but you are no longer allowing it to control your entire life. That is growth. That is progress. That is the beginning of something new. My child, don't dismiss the progress you have made simply because you have not reached the final destination. You have already come farther than you think. Think about who you were a year ago. Think about the things you once believed you could never overcome. Think about the nights you thought you would never get through. And look at yourself now. You are still here. You are still moving. You are still hoping. You are still seeking me. That alone tells you something. The story is not over. My beloved child, when the new season begins, you may feel afraid. You may wonder if you can trust again. You may wonder if you will make the same mistakes. You may wonder if you will lose what you finally receive. You may think, what if it doesn't work? What if I fail again? What if I get hurt again? What if I lose everything again? My child, I understand these questions. But I do not want fear to make you reject something good simply because something bad happened before. The fact that you were hurt yesterday does not mean that you will be hurt tomorrow. The fact that one person disappointed you does not mean everyone will. The fact that one opportunity failed does not mean every opportunity will fail. The fact that one chapter ended painfully does not mean the next chapter will have the same ending. Do not punish your future because of your past. My beloved child, you have to learn to separate memory from prophecy. Your memory tells you what happened. Fear tries to tell you what will happen. But fear does not know your future. I do. So when fear tells you, it will happen again, answer with faith. I don't know what tomorrow will bring, but Jesus will be there. That is enough. You do not need to know every detail. You only need to know that you will not be walking alone. My child, when I bring you into a new season, I may also bring new responsibilities. Do not be surprised if the new season requires more courage than the old one. The old season taught you how to survive. The new season may teach you how to build. The old season taught you how to endure. The new season may teach you how to create. The old season taught you how to wait. The new season may teach you how to act. Do not become so comfortable with waiting that you are afraid to move when I finally open the door. There will be a time to wait. There will also be a time to walk. And when the right door opens, I want you to have the courage to step through it. My beloved child, you may have become so used to disappointment that good news makes you suspicious. You may hear an opportunity and immediately search for the reason it will fail. You may meet someone kind and immediately wonder when they will leave. You may receive a blessing and immediately worry about losing it. I understand why you feel this way. But I want to teach you something new. Learn to receive good things without immediately expecting them to disappear. Learn to enjoy a peaceful moment without waiting for the next problem. Learn to smile without wondering when the smile will end. Learn to be grateful without being afraid that gratitude will somehow invite loss. You are allowed to experience joy. You are allowed to be hopeful. You are allowed to believe that something good can happen. My child, life will always contain uncertainty. But uncertainty does not mean that you should live in constant fear. You cannot control everything that happens. But you can choose where you place your trust. Place it in me. My beloved child, there is another way you will recognize the new season. You will begin to understand why certain things had to end. You may not understand everything immediately, but slowly, the picture will become clearer. You will realize that some of the things you were begging me to keep were actually things I was asking you to release. You will realize that the rejection you hated protected you from a path that was not meant for you. You will realize that the delay you complained about gave you time to become ready. You will realize that the closed door you cried over created space for a better opportunity. And you may finally say, "Now I understand." My beloved child, I know that sometimes you want answers immediately. But some answers only become clear with time. You cannot always understand the purpose of a chapter while you are still living in it. Sometimes you need to reach the next chapter before you can understand the previous one. So if you do not understand today, do not panic. Keep walking. Keep trusting. One day, the pieces will make sense. My child, I want you to be careful about one thing as you enter your new season. Do not carry the wrong people into the right future. Not everyone who is part of your past is meant to be part of your future. Some people were there for a season. Some were there to teach you something. Some were there to help you grow. Some were there because you needed to learn what you would never accept again. And some people may have been important to your past but are not connected to your future. Do not feel guilty for moving forward. You can appreciate what someone meant to you without allowing them to control where you are going. You can forgive someone without inviting them back into your life. You can love someone without following them down a path I am asking you to leave. My beloved child, not every goodbye is a tragedy. Sometimes goodbye is obedience. Sometimes goodbye is protection. Sometimes goodbye is the beginning of freedom. Sometimes you have to close a door yourself because you keep waiting for someone else to close it for you. If I am telling you to move forward, do not keep turning around. The future requires your attention. My child, the new season may also require you to change the way you speak to yourself. You have spent too long repeating the words of people who hurt you. You remember what they said. You remember what they called you. You remember how they made you feel. And slowly, their voices became your inner voice. But my beloved child, their words do not define you. You are not what someone said about you during their worst moment. You are not the opinion of someone who could not see your value. You are not the mistake you made. You are not the rejection you experienced. You are not the failure you remember. Stop speaking to yourself as if your worst moment is your permanent identity. You are still becoming. There is still growth ahead. There is still purpose within you. There is still something beautiful that can come from your life. My beloved child, I want you to begin speaking hope over your future. Instead of saying, "Nothing will ever change," say, "My life can change." Instead of saying, "I will always be alone," say, "I trust Jesus to guide the right people into my life." Instead of saying, "I will always struggle," say, "This season is not forever." Instead of saying, "I am too far behind," say, "I can still move forward." Instead of saying, "My best days are over," say, "There are still beautiful chapters ahead." My child, your words cannot control everything that happens, but they can influence the way you see the journey. And I want you to see your future with hope. My beloved child, I am not promising you that every day ahead will be perfect. There will still be challenges. There will still be difficult decisions. There will still be moments when you have questions. But the difference is that you will not be the same person facing them. You have learned. You have grown. You have become stronger. And most importantly, you have learned that you can trust me through difficult seasons. The new season will not be perfect, but it can be beautiful. It can contain peace you have never experienced before. It can contain opportunities you never expected. It can contain relationships that encourage rather than exhaust you. It can contain purpose that gives meaning to everything you have experienced. And it can contain a version of yourself that you have never met before. My beloved child, perhaps the greatest thing I am preparing is you. Not simply a new place. Not simply a new opportunity. Not simply a new situation. But a new version of you. A person who knows how to say no. A person who knows when to walk away. A person who knows how to wait. A person who knows how to trust. A person who knows that their value does not depend on another person's approval. A person who can experience success without losing humility. A person who can experience difficulty without losing hope. That is the person I am helping you become. So when you feel like nothing is happening, remember that growth is happening. When you feel like you are standing still, remember that roots are growing. When you feel like the old season will never end, remember that seasons change. And when the new season finally arrives, do not be afraid to step forward. My beloved child, you have spent enough time surviving. Now I want you to learn how to live. I want you to laugh again. I want you to dream again. I want you to hope again. I want you to believe that your future can be beautiful. And I want you to understand that you do not have to know exactly how it will happen. You simply need to trust me enough to take the next step. Because the new season is not only about what is coming toward you. It is also about what you are finally ready to leave behind. And there is one final lesson you need to learn before you can fully embrace what comes next. You must stop waiting for permission from your past to move forward. You do not need your past to approve your future. You do not need everyone who hurt you to apologize before you begin again. You do not need every unanswered question to be resolved before you find peace. You do not need to understand why the old season ended before you can welcome the new one. You can move forward now. You can begin again now. You can choose hope now. And in the final part, I want to remind you of the promise you must carry into every new season of your life. The promise that no matter where your journey takes you, you will never have to walk it alone. My beloved child, I want you to remember this as you step forward into the next chapter of your life. You do not have to know everything about your future to trust me with it. You do not need to see the entire road. You do not need to know every turn. You do not need to understand every delay. You do not need to have every answer. You only need to trust me enough to take the next step. There was a time when you thought you had to control everything. You thought that if you planned carefully enough, nothing could go wrong. You thought that if you worked hard enough, everyone would stay. You thought that if you were good enough, you would never be rejected. But life taught you something different. You discovered that there are things you cannot control. People can change. Plans can change. Circumstances can change. Doors can close. Opportunities can disappear. And sometimes, no matter how carefully you plan, life takes you in a direction you never expected. My child, I know that uncertainty can frighten you. But I want you to learn something. You may not be able to control the future, but you can trust the one who already sees it. That is where your peace comes from. Not from knowing everything, but from knowing that you are not walking into the unknown alone. My beloved child, perhaps the greatest lesson from your difficult season is that you have discovered what truly matters. You may have once thought happiness came from having everything you wanted. But now you know that peace is more valuable than possessions. You know that genuine relationships are more valuable than popularity. You know that being loved is more important than being admired. You know that inner peace is more valuable than external success. And you know that having me beside you is worth more than having everything else without me. The difficult season changed your priorities. It showed you what is temporary. It showed you what is permanent. It showed you who truly cared. It showed you what you could survive. And most importantly, it showed you that even when everything else changes, my presence remains. My beloved child, do not be ashamed of the person you became during your difficult season. You became stronger because you had to. You became wiser because you experienced things that taught you. You became more compassionate because you knew what it felt like to hurt. You became more patient because you had to wait. You became more understanding because you learned that everyone carries battles that others cannot see. Your pain did not have to be meaningless. I can use what you experienced to make you a source of comfort for someone else. One day, your words may encourage someone who feels exactly as you once did. One day, your story may give hope to someone who thinks their story is over. One day, someone may hear you say, "I know what it feels like to be in that place. I have been there too. But Jesus carried me through." And they will believe you because you are not speaking from theory. You are speaking from experience. My beloved child, that is why I did not allow the difficult season to destroy you. I used it to prepare you. You thought you were only surviving, but you were becoming. You were becoming more resilient, more patient, more discerning, more compassionate, more dependent on me. And now, my child, I want you to take everything you have learned and carry it into your new season. Do not forget the lessons. But do not carry the pain. Carry the wisdom. Leave the fear. Carry the strength. Leave the shame. Carry the faith. Leave the doubt. Carry the love. Leave the bitterness. Carry the hope. Leave the hopelessness. You do not have to carry everything from your past into your future. Some things were meant to stay behind. My beloved child, I know you are still afraid that the new season might bring another disappointment. But listen to me. You cannot let the possibility of future pain stop you from experiencing future joy. If you spend your entire life trying to avoid being hurt, you may also avoid being loved. If you spend your entire life trying to avoid failure, you may also avoid opportunity. If you spend your entire life trying to avoid uncertainty, you may never discover what is waiting beyond your comfort zone. You have to be willing to live again, to hope again, to trust again. Not blindly, not carelessly, but with wisdom, with discernment, and with me beside you. My child, you do not need to rush into every opportunity. You do not need to trust everyone immediately. You do not need to ignore warning signs. You do not need to abandon wisdom in the name of faith. But you also do not need to reject every good thing simply because something bad happened before. Let me teach you the difference between caution and fear. Caution says, I will move wisely. Fear says, I will never move again. Wisdom says, I will pay attention. Fear says, I will never trust anyone. Faith says, I will take the next step, knowing Jesus is with me. Choose faith. My beloved child, I want you to look at your future differently now. Do not look at it as a blank space filled with things that could go wrong. Look at it as a place filled with possibilities you have not yet discovered. There are mornings you have not yet experienced. There are conversations you have not yet had. There are opportunities you have not yet seen. There are prayers you have not yet prayed. There are moments of joy you have not yet known. There are people whose lives you will touch. There are lives that may one day be changed because you chose not to give up. Do not underestimate what your future can become. My child, you may think your life is ordinary. You may think your story is too small. You may think your mistakes are too many. But I see possibilities you cannot see. I see the impact you can have. I see the kindness you can give. I see the encouragement you can offer. I see the strength you can share. I see the purpose that can grow from your experiences. Your life does not have to be famous to be meaningful. You do not need millions of people to know your name for your life to matter. Sometimes your greatest impact will happen quietly. One conversation, one act of kindness, one word of encouragement, one person who needed you at exactly the right moment. Never underestimate the value of a life lived with love. My beloved child, I want you to stop measuring your life only by what you have achieved. Your value is not determined by your success. Your worth is not determined by your failures. Your identity is not determined by your possessions. You are valuable because you are my beloved child. And when you understand that, you stop desperately chasing the approval of people who were never qualified to define you. You stop trying to prove yourself to everyone. You stop allowing rejection to destroy your confidence. You stop allowing comparison to steal your peace. You begin to live from a place of security. And from that place, you can finally walk freely into your future. My child, the season that hurt you is not the season that will define you forever. It was part of your journey.